We're gonna say everyone's present. For a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
We've been asked if we can move number 11 under number 6,
Under 6?
after 6, yeah.
Okay.
Anyone have an issue with that? All right, if not, all in favor?
All right.
Carries. What are minutes from our September 11th meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minute. Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? If not, all's in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Are there any public comments? So we're up. Right. Are there any supervisors not seated as committee members that have any information for this committee? All right. We'll have a discussion regarding the 2025 budget. Possible recommendations regarding outside agencies. Who's gonna lead us in this?
This morning, Chair, we have the Fair Society here with their proposal for the grandstand.
You move me right up.
Right up to the top there.
Okay. Appreciate it. I got a copy. So this is a revised version of what we did at the Public Works meeting last week. They have some recommendations on some wording. I updated that wording. So hopefully it makes sense. And if you want, I'll read it out loud. So this is basically the same thing I read last week with the wording changes, but I'll read it so it's on the record here. So in consideration of the previous arrangement or agreement and previous arrangement and agreement in 2018, in the interest of continuing partnership, Polk County Fair Society has agreed to offer a contribution of $400,000 total sum towards the construction of a new grandstand facility to be built on the Polk County Fairgrounds. This agreement is based on the preliminary design proposed by Cedar Corp dated July 16th, 2024, and GT Grandstand dated July 15th. I actually have copies if you guys need for that record. Otherwise, Mo has the email from them that could forward those to you guys if you need them. This offer consists of one lump sum payment of $200,000 to be paid upon completion of a finished turnkey facility with all the necessary support and infrastructure. The remaining $200,000 should be amortized over 15 years.
How about that?
With those payments to start the year following the initial payment. Regardless of amortization schedule, payments shall not exceed $18,000 per year. Polk County Fair Society shall be involved in the planning and design of the grandstand and infrastructure to help best meet the needs of the property. Project completion shall be based on the specs of the bid set of drawings as approved by both Polk County and the Fair Society or their designated representative. I did put an expiration. This offer will expire December 31st, 2025 if Polk County has not approved the grandstand for either next year's budget or the following. Anybody got any questions with that? Kind of clarified it up a little bit. Figured, I added the expiration on there just, so the Fair Society can reappropriate their funds if need be. For some reason, if grandstand is never to be built. The other thing that was changed in there too was basically what the definition of project completion was. Instead of waiting till the end and trying to figure that out, I'd be working with, Rod and Mo and Cedar Corp and those guys to base it off those bid specs. So once it goes to bid, basically we know what the scope of practice is and we know what completion will be. Anybody have any questions? It's silent? Okay. You got anything else for me? Okay, all right. I'm good.
Thanks, Andy.
Yep.
Do you need a recommendation, bring that to the county board for approval?
I'll go through my presentation first, and then we can start down that list and, then at the end. So I wanted the discussion of the budget first before we start looking at, moving, resolutions to the county board. Makes sense. Everyone. This is pretty close to the same presentation that I've done for all the committees. With some slight modifications as committees go through and recommend items. This committee. Apologize, Jay, it's probably the fifth time I'm hearing the same thing on this one. So if you could cue that up, Claire. All right, next slide, Claire. All right, we're here in October, final committee meeting before the county board next week, looking at our budgets and going through our next stages. We'll go through the recommendations from the other committees and how that works from each one. Next slide. This slide here shows our levy. As you can see, our levy is down from 2024, about $71,000. We're at $23 million. This projection right here that we've done does include our bonding. You can see the mill rate per thousand down slightly on that for 2024. Also, next slide. Just a recap of that, just in a larger slide. As you can see that our budget is balanced currently with all our points and our requests and recommendations from the committees. We're still balanced about $64.5 million. Again, our levy's down approximately 71,000 from 2024, and our FTE count is slightly down from 2024 also. Next slide. This slide here kind of shows our capital improvement plan for the 5-year summary and where those larger items sit, whether it's IT, vehicles, road construction, facilities, furniture, equipment, parks, fairs, museum, on those items. Next slide. This is a new slide here, reduced. This was our outside agencies requests and what I recommended in the, at the right-hand column there. So we have $331,000 in outside agency requests. You can see some of the requests came in a little higher. Some of them we dropped. But these are right now in the budget that's balanced. Next slide. Our list of needs. Additional funding requests by departments. Right here you can see we have a County Road B project. We have $600,000 for the grandstand project. I'll touch on that a little bit once we get back into with the fair's proposal and what was recommended by Polk. We have the sheriff's cars, DC converters, some projects at the fair, another boat replacement for land and water. All these committees approved their extra funding requests and recommended them go with approval to this committee to be put into the budget. Next slide. These are some of the operational things that were approved by their committees. The first one was the 3 full-time patrol duties. Their LIDAR, couple wage adjustments that were done by restructuring zoning by the new director in that department, and a couple of grade changes with 0 cost to the budget. Next slide. This is what we're looking at for funding and we're getting our money. You can see right now, we have $1.8 million in bonding there. Our capacity is 2.2, just a little over 2.2 million. So that left another $500,000 out there. It was recommended by the Public Works, Public Safety Committee to use that $500,000 for a road project, County Road E north of 48. And with that, we are still balanced. So we are still within our capacity. Our levy remains the same and stable. So we're sitting very good. Next slide. These are some options that we have on, always are out there. You know, the old jail we have sitting over there, which we use for storage. Recycling equipment was one of the options. Looking at the committees, do we pay for all the equipment up first and have the special fee pay for that over time? Or do we have the special fee and build that and phase in the equipment? A couple different options. Highway E there, that was recommended by the Public Works Committee. And then recommended by Health and Human Services was adding $50,000 to the budget to look at a central kitchen for Meals on Wheels program, which since the Milltown Community Center burnt, they're having a hard time getting their meals out to the public. Slide. One shows where our fund balance ends. So what's available to the county board is the $5 million to spend. You can spend that if you don't want to bond, you know, which is very important in our structures, keeping up on that bonding schedule to keep our levy stable. If you did that, if you chose not to bond and you want to go into our fund balance and spend that, our levy is going to drop significantly. But in the future, when you want to do a project, it's going to go up significantly. So it's a key component that we have to keep our levy stable. And these are carryover projects. Our unencumbered balance is almost 7, but the 5 is what's available due to some rollover funds and that type of stuff. So next slide. This just shows that same slide again without the what's come out of that. Next slide. So we look at the proposed funding sources now, it's at $2.249 million for bonding. Our 110 account, that's our internal loan account that we use for departments to come back and pay back that cost over 5 years. The levy and recycling. Next slide. Right now we're balanced. What came out of the committees is all the AFRs that were presented to you right now were approved at Public Works. Public Works, Public Safety also recommended for the grandstand project with the $400,000 from the state fair and the $600,000 that's in the extra funding request. They recommended reallocating the broadband funds. There's $800,000 that's been sitting in there. $700,000 of that to the grandstand project and $100,000 to the County Road E project, bringing that to $600,000 for that project. They also recommended the recycling fee of $35 moving forward to the committee for approval in the resolution. That'll go from the county board with that. Environmental Services Committee recommended all their AFRs as presented on the slides that you shown. And the only one coming out of HHS was the $50,000 for the central kitchen architecture and engineering to look at putting the central kitchen basically in the Endeavors building and utilizing that space a little more, getting another renter in there, and then having the clients help with prepare those meals. We are looking at another option for Meals on Wheels, looking at our Summit Food contract with the jail. If they can provide those food to the quality that they need to come out. So we're looking at a couple different options, but the $50,000 and everything that's in there right now still keeps our budget balanced with our bonding moving forward. So we're in a really good spot with that. So I'll entertain any questions. Hopefully I can answer for you at this time.
I have a question on page 4 of this. In 2025, RFP, 197 compared to 398.
Yes.
Does that mean that more positions from the 2024 budget are off the books going forward? Looks like, so if we're adding 3 deputies. Then we've added a zoning position, that'd be 4 positions.
Those 4 positions aren't in those numbers until they're approved by the board in the budget process.
So 2025, we're actually gonna be at.
Am I correct on that, or are they in there?
So the 3 deputy positions would increase the FTE count if they're approved.
If they're approved.
So there'd be a net increase of 2. We're down 1 over 2024.
Over 20.
Where does that full-time zoning position come in?
It's already in there.
It's already in there,
It's already in there.
but that was just a temporary,
It's in the 2024 one
as a temp.
as a full-time. It was approved as a full-time position.
Is that still budget neutral?
That's what they're working towards, correct? It's in the first phase of that position. Yes, Keith?
For outside agencies, 5,000 was removed from the, I believe it was the Historical Society, was it?
Yes,
From the original proposal. Would that be added into, Polk County Tourism rather than just removed? Can you still do that?
yes,
The reason being, he's got a new director of the tourism, I believe, and he's doing it. We brought in a grant from outside, state grant for, I think, $27,000 or $28,000, but the issue is it's a matching grant. And there's only certain expenditures that count towards the match. And by giving them another $5,000, it may end up being more money that comes in. That would be my proposal anyway.
if you'd like to make that recommendation and the committee goes with that, we'll add it to the budget.
Okay, I would like to make that recommendation.
Can I comment to that?
Absolutely.
Would it make sense? Keith, I certainly recognize what you're looking for and I think it makes sense. But we made a move 2 years ago to take money out of tourism and take it to economic development. It would be better to take that back out of economic development and give it back to tourism because the tourism industry and the tourism division, so to speak, has stepped up and done what they said they were going to do.
I guess the reason that I would, we actually, the original proposal was, I believe, 336 total number rather than 331, and we removed 5,000. I would just my proposal would be rather than remove the 5,000, just add it to, move it from Historical Society to tourism.
We'd still be up 16 over last year at this time.
Mhm.
Are you saying to put 10,000 towards tourism?
I would say take 5 from economic development and allocate that to tourism,
And keep our numbers the same as
same to budget.
budget.
Okay with that, I guess.
Okay, that's fine. It makes it easier on our end.
Yep.
Number the same.
I can support that.
You need it in the motion or what do you need?
A motion would be nice to recommend that to that change, just to,
Go ahead.
unless we need it just by consensus, Joe, is that fine? Let's have a motion.
All right, I move that we transfer $5,000 from Polk County Economic Development to tourism.
I'll second that motion.
Any more discussion? Not all's in favor,
Aye.
carries. Any other recommendations regarding outside agencies? We need to move on the fair's proposal.
We can move the fair proposal to the county board. There is a closed session on the county board to discuss that. But before we make recommendations on it at this time, since it's the first time you've seen the proposal.
So just best just to move it there.
Yes.
I'll move the Fair Society to the board meeting.
Second.
More discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Anything else on that?
That's it.
Okay, how about the additional funding request?
If, ones that were approved by committee and shown in the slides, if you would make recommendations to move those to the county board to insert in the, budget as presented. Yes, Don?
Good. Two of the items on that list, if we could go back to it, Claire. So there's a capital item and a operating item.
For this committee.
Yep, those, they have asterisks next to them. It's such a hard word to say, asterisk. So we would need you to provide a recommendation on those two that are for this particular committee. And software, I agree.
The 350 for the financial software. This was actually a no for me at the start of it. But our current financial software continues to cut down modules on us, taking us offline, creating more, issues with, God, I can't think of the word at the moment, doing things by hand on correcting things versus being automated.
Increased efficiency.
It decreased the efficiency and we're locked in and, it's an audit term and why can't I think of it right now? Sherry, help me here. Anyways, it's making us very hard to us to do our job financially and making it hard on departments to, keep our stuff moving. So we move that up. Instead of doing it in 2026, we'll do it in 2025. And again, it's within our budget and we're still budget neutral on those. The other one was the IT grade change, move on the next slide. Was kind of a restructure and moving, an IT specialist from an L to an N, which is budget neutral on that, just changing the pay grade, basically on setting up a structure for leadership.
So Mo, my question on that is when you're setting up a grade increase without a cost increase, is it the situation such that we're already paying at grade N? We just
Yes.
need to change that position?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're just adjusting it that way. Yeah,
We're just adjudging the grade, so to speak, but not necessarily the individual's pay scale.
correct.
Got it.
So we'll need a motion on those two items and then moving everything else to the county board.
Make a motion to approve the new financial software for 350,000.
I'll second.
And you're recognizing the grade change too?
Is that a separate motion?
You can do it in the same one.
Oh, and I'll
You want it, so.
recognize the IT pay grade.
Want them together?
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Not all's in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Anything else?
Do we need a motion on the other AFRs? Then move the whole thing to the board for approval. From the recommendations from the other committees.
Make a motion, we move the budget to the board.
Second. Any more discussion?
Would that be with the recommendation of approval?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries.
Promise to have a couple more new slides in there too, so. Same.
That would bring us to the resolution 3824. Resolution to hold a public hearing on the 2025 proposal.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Any further discussion? Not all's in favor? Carries.
That's with recommendation.
With recommendation.
Right, how about resolution 3924? issuance of general not exceeding $2,250,000. We gonna borrow the money or are we gonna take it out of our savings?
I know it seems a little bit ridiculous to borrow the money, but the reality is the point that Mo makes of keeping a balance is probably more valuable to our constituents across the board over a long term than to have a peak and valley. So I guess I would certainly be in favor of that from my seat in the House.
Recognize that as a motion.
Approval.
I was waiting for somebody else to make the motion. I have to do all the talking.
Well,
I make a motion that we move to the board the resolution 3924 obligation promissory notes not to exceed 2.250
second,
Recommendation.
with recommendation.
yes.
Any further discussion? If not, all's in favor,
Aye.
carries. All right, how about resolution 4024?
Recommendation out of Public Works, my recommendation was to set that fee at $35. We didn't want to come in very low on it. We didn't want to come in high on it. The idea of making that system self-sufficient and not bound by the levy and having our levy fluctuate with the commodities and that to help sustain that operation. One of the things that can be done with that is if we see that fund starting to go to enlarge too much in savings, the fee can always be reduced by the county board if that gets too large or eliminated at some point. But to get it back up and going, it was recommended $35, which would bring in 813,000, I believe.
831.
831 at the $35 mark. And right now that levy, the levy allocation is approximately $350,000 towards that operation for operations, which comes out of the levy. Unless there's a deficit run in that due to commodities, which last year a deficit ran of about $100,000, would put us another $100,000 in the levy being subsidized in that program.
So is that saying the recycling center costs us $400,000 a year?
It did not make back. It cost us last year $100,000.
So the budget sees 100,000 after commodities are paid.
After everything's paid and everything, that's what was hit this year, ran a negative. But of that is levy operations, which levy is the tough part to allocate. If we have this fund in here, those levy dollars could be reallocated for operations such as law enforcement and personnel costs in another department.
After the equipment is purchased, though, the commodity prices will increase enough to sustain that $100,000 draw. Right?
Once the equipment is purchased, we're looking at efficiencies to bring in more product through the facility to increase commodities, to get ahead.
Want to add anything?
No, well, just that with the commodity prices fluctuating, we never know if it's gonna, that'll offset it or not. We're, like Mo just said, with the new equipment, we're hoping that we'll be able to put more material through. We for sure will be able to. It's just a matter of what that cost of what we can sell that commodities for then.
To try to offset that if commodities drop, try to recoup that revenue with volume.
Well, we have to move it one way or another.
I make a motion that we move resolution 4024 with the insert of $35 per annum to the full county board for approval.
That with recommendation?
He did mention something about approval.
For approval with
Or-
recommendation or without?
So do you recommend it? You want to recommend it from this committee?
Yeah.
Say yes.
You did.
Hate to see it die for lack of a second.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Now we're gonna say it carried. All right, how about resolution 4124?
This resolution talks on the broadband money, reallocating that for capital improvement projects.
And how much money is that?
$800,000,
It's just not getting used for broadband?
correct?
I'll make a motion to send to the county board with the recommendation to approve resolution 4124.
Second.
That good enough, Shabana?
Discussion on the motion? Not all's in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Now I'm gonna take us to the administrator's update.
Very small update. Sales tax, again, trended down about $105,000 over last year's, which makes Don very nervous. We're getting very close to our point, but we're working with the numbers we have to best speculate where we're gonna land on that one. We are putting together the next library committee for their 5-year plan. Fran Duncanson is the chair of that. That will be coming to the board. We got solicitations out now for committee members on that from the libraries. Once that committee is formed and set and that plan comes forward for approval of the county board. Typically in the last plan, they want 100% financing, but the board still has it at 95, which is still your authority whether to push it to 100% in 2026, but currently right now the recommendation is 95% for 2025 budget. And if you didn't get a chance to go to Highway for the county picnic, today at 11:30 at GAM, for those folks down there, there'll be food from the Village Pizzeria from Amory. That's the county picnic down there, if you so inclined to go down there and visit that establishment. And that's really all I have for right now.
All right. What's going on with our November meeting date?
This isn't my fault, I promise this time. Statutorily, we have to have the budget meeting or the county board on the 12th. If we keep to the usual schedule, the general government meeting would be after that county board meeting. So we're looking at moving that would be the second week up a week. There also sounds like there has to be an executive meeting that month also. So how we want to work general government and executive possibly the same day on the 7th of November. We could still have this one at 8:30 and maybe do executive after at more like 10 o'clock. It's just a suggestion. We can split them up, do one Thursday, do one Friday. Russ, you're the chair of both, so really recommend what you.
Not that it matters, but I am unavailable the 7th. The only day I'm available that week is Monday, the 4th. Not that that matters, just for thought.
Gonna be later than the 7th?
The only other day would be Friday, the 8th. Because then we're all closed on Veterans Day and then county board is the 12th. I mean, we could do Monday, the 4th.
What's on the agenda?
The only concern with Monday, the 4th is that, as this committee, with the financial decisions are made, all the other committees are after your committee then if they come up with something else they want to recommend to the budget.
Who without me?
I should probably check and see if I'm back from Florida by then myself.
I could possibly via Teams meeting get on via online. I could probably just,
Bless you.
I will be out of town is all.
All right, well, let's plan it for the 7th.
You can keep it at 8:30? Just for consideration. Okay.
Well, do we have busier agenda than this meeting? We'll have time for lunch between meetings.
Well, executive shouldn't take very long. Executive is only gonna have one thing on it.
And unless there's significant changes from, or any technical amendments coming through, this meeting should not be that much.
So
Very
is this
long.
one gonna be first?
Yeah, this one.
Before exec, yes.
That's what I'm saying. If this one's at 8:30 and that's at 10. We can't really move it up sooner. If it's agenda.
Do you want to do 9? For this one?
Soon as better's for me.
Are you gone though? Still same.
You're thinking 9 for this meeting?
No. You'd rather do 8:30, I guess.
You'd probably rather do it at 7.
Or 6:30.
6:30 would be even better.
Second that.
Let's just stay with 8:30, November 7th. Can we, well, executive doesn't have to be at 10.
No, it doesn't. It could be, it really depends. You just want to give enough space in case general government, does go a little longer. I think 10 would be fine. I don't think exec will take more than
Exec,
an hour.
yeah, I mean, if we're not anticipating much work, you could either do exec at 9:30 or 9 o'clock. If you think you're gonna have a shorter meeting. If we don't have any budget hiccups, it's not gonna be a very long meeting, actually. I'll do my presentation and keep it short.
Yeah, let's maybe put executive at 9:30 and
Okay.
even if it go a little longer than that.
I can notice it also that says directly or following the general government meeting. So that way, if it does go a little long, we should be.
All right, anything for our work plan? No? You have our subject matter for our next meeting? November 7th?
Budget amendments and adopting the operating budget and moving it to the county board. The big ones.
Want to have anything else? If we can end it here.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Turned down.
10.